Hello and welcome back to 4FS Gaming. You guys seem to be liking the tactical tours of the different compounds, and I will keep making them every fortnight or so. But I also want to make a little series on some of the skills that lead to success on the hunt. Skills like aiming, setting an effective ambush, and reading the progression of each match. To start us off this week, we will look at the art of positioning in this video. Positioning is really important. Basically, it is where you are in a location relative to your opponents that provides you with an advantage or a disadvantage in a firefight. In a game like Hunt, you don't always get to control exactly when and where you have to start shooting, as sometimes opportunities to engage happen when you are out of position or you simply get ambushed. This is why positioning isn't just something you should think about when starting a fight, but all the time, so that whenever an enemy is spotted, you are in a position to take the advantage. So what factors go into good positioning? I like to think that there are 7 elements we have to consider. The first one is cover. Cover refers to anything that makes you harder to spot or shoot. I like to view cover in this game as fitting into one of 2 categories. We have soft cover, which can block line of sight, but cannot effectively block bullets. This includes small trees, bushes and foliage, wooden fences and walls, and to some extent metal sheets, because long ammo can still pierce them quite easily. Then we have hard cover, such as terrain, mounds of dirt, large crates and brick walls. These will stop bullets outright. Generally speaking, you want to be in a position where you are in a lot of cover, while your opponent lacks cover. This makes it easier for you to land shots as less of the target's hitbox is concealed. Note that in Hunt, soft cover is almost useless in an open firefight, but can be very helpful when trying to reposition, flank, or get close without getting spotted. The second factor I want to talk about is elevation. There is a reason that people say high ground is better, and generally it is because it allows you to see further and attain greater awareness of your surroundings. Awareness leads to better and faster reactions, and then more victories. It also provides you with more sight lines across your surroundings, meaning that taking the high ground makes it easier to shoot at lower targets, and easier to pull back behind cover when they shoot up at you. Being up high also makes it easier to throw consumables down upon your enemies. Of course, elevation does have a trade-off, and that is that when you are up high, you yourself will become more noticeable. So if you do decide to take an elevated position, you need to make sure you have cover, you keep moving your head, or be hyper aware of where your enemies are and which direction they are facing. Factor number 3 is your ability to reposition easily. If a position has great cover in a small area, it's probably still not a great position. In a gunfight, being able to reposition, change an angle, and pop out from a bit of cover your enemies didn't expect you to be behind will give you a huge advantage. The best positions allow you to move many meters to either side while in concealment, only appearing when it is time to take your shot. It's also very important to be able to move from your position without exposing yourself if you hear that dynamite bundle cooking in the hand of your foe. A good position will therefore not only have cover, but enough cover spread out over an area that it allows you plenty of room to reposition. The fourth factor is somewhat connected to this as well, and that is that a good position will give opportunities to push and retreat if needed. Say you have an excellent position in a sniper tower, take a shot, and then down an enemy hunter. How can you push up and capitalize upon that? Can you rush forward and prevent a revive if they went down behind cover? What if you get pushed hard and your long range weapons mean you need to put space between you and your enemies? The ability to alter distance to your enemies is critical both for securing kills and maintaining distance from explosives and shotguns. If you have good positioning, you should be able to do this while staying at least partially obscured. This leads into our fifth factor, which is that your positioning needs to suit your gear. A sniper tower is not useful if you only have shotguns or melee weapons, in the same way that built-in interiors and thick woods can be perilous for sniper weapons. This ultimately comes down to range and keeping your enemies at a range where your weapons can reign supreme. This needs to be consciously adjusted for as you learn what your opponents are using during a fight. If you hear the sparks go off, you need to work in close, for example, provided of course that you have weapons that can operate effectively in that range. Factor number 6 considers other environmental factors, such as mobs of zombies. Opening fire next to a couple of hives is an example of poor positioning. If you are close to lots of mobs, you do not want to engage or be engaged in that situation. This might sound obvious, but it is astonishing the amount of people I see start a firefight while surrounded by zombies. and this goes for red barrels as well. Finally, Factor 7 refers to how you work with a partner to position yourselves for victory. The duo aspect of Hunt is probably the most complex positioning skill to master, but there are a few basic rules to follow. Firstly, never stand next to or behind the same piece of cover as your partner. This makes it very easy for you to get both killed by dynamite or other explosives. In principle, it should be difficult for any single opponent to spot both you and your partner at the same time. Even when just moving across the map, stay separated, take slightly different paths, so if one of you gets ambushed, the other will have a concealed position from which to counterattack. Now that being said, you don't want to be so far away that you can't help each other in the event that a fight breaks out. When attacking with a partner, you need to take different angles. A great and timeless tactic is to position one player in good cover to engage in a firefight, whilst the other moves to a 90-degree angle and starts shooting from there. It is exceptionally difficult for teams to fight against multiple angles, especially when you take the earlier advice and keep changing those angles through repositioning. Of course, being able to do this is predicated on having good individual positioning so that you can push up, change angles and such while remaining concealed or in cover. The only time you really want to be moving right next to your partner is when you're desperate to rush a building together, or another situation in which you're moving very quickly. If I was to boil it all down to one piece of advice, it would be to always position yourselves as if you expect a fight. Moving to get a clue, you should be preparing for combat. Walking from one compound to another, fan out and prepare for combat. Approaching the boss compound, prepare for combat. Start the banishing, prepare for combat. And don't just sit in the boss room hoping they don't have grenades. Actually go out and take a better angle, get a better position than inside some dungeon. Always be ready to snap to cover and reposition the second you hear an audio cue declaring hunters are close. Hopefully this video gives you an idea of what good positioning might look like. I have tried to include footage that demonstrates good positioning, or poor positioning on behalf of my opponents, rather than just good shots and lucky clutches. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. And if you would like to join our Discord community, the link is in the description below. As usual, a big thank you to our patrons for supporting us, and if you want to jump on board with that, please check out our Patreon link below as well. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming.